Being a real estate broker on the capital planet for the Galactic Union has its ups and downs, especially when your primary clientele is scared and nervous humans, many of whom are on their first trips off Earth. Because of this, these lost souls need to be treated with kid gloves and nurtured all along the way. But because I'm one of the few human realtors on the planet, I essentially have a captive market, and that has made me a lot of money over the years. Enough money, in fact, that I'm about to buy my very own starship. That's right, a frickin' starship. I'm Jason King, broker-owner of Galactic Realty and Relocation, the king of real estate on the planet Silox. And it's good to be the king. Nothing beats that new starship smell. And to top that off, the spacecraft was also agile, sleek, and could blow the doors off anything up to 3 times its size. Yes, the Norine 2 was everything it was advertised to be, and as I was finding out, a whole lot more. So with giddy enthusiasm, I gripped the control stick a little tighter and sent the tiny craft diving in low toward the huge gas giant of Unilocks, so close in fact that I could make out the swirling of the brilliant kaleidoscope of colorful gases below me. I'd been out here before in my little in-system flitter, but this was different. As I skimmed the tops of the roiling clouds of deadly methane gas, I felt more in control and confident that the ship could counteract the tremendous gravity of the giant planet, while allowing for the closest approach I'd ever made. I also couldn't keep from smiling, knowing that my wild maneuver would raise the blood pressure of the sails being seated next to me. However, after so many years of being on the other side of the table, it felt good to be the customer now. And with such a huge commission on the line, it was my turn to have a little light-hearted fun with the salesperson. However impressive the planet Unilocks may be, our visit there was brief, lasting only a handful of minutes. Now, the Jupiter-like globe was displayed on my rearview monitor and shrinking noticeably as we sped away, heading for the vast open space between star systems.
You should know the transit time to Crius is only 46 minutes at full power.
The sales being managed to say, having recovered from our close encounter with the gas giant. His name was Volox and he was a Mulakorian, and even though the kangaroo-like aliens didn't build the Norine brand of starships, his boss did have the local dealership on Silox. I glanced behind me at my friend and business partner, Quint Valerie, and saw a silly grin plastered on his face. He seemed to be more excited about the N2 than I was, and he wasn't even sitting at the controls.
Can we open her up once we're in open space?
He asked Volox.
Of course, have some fun. It is not every day that one gets the chance to pilot a Norine, and especially an N2.
The alien had that right. I'd checked out the original Norine, the XL1, and found it to be only slightly more powerful and responsive than my old Fusion. I'd even flown some used Ortons and Novus, but they just didn't feel right. And even though the Norine wasn't huge, coming in at just over 80 feet, it was livable and with an interior similar to that of a large motorhome. I have to say, I really did like the compact feel of the spacecraft. It provided for a more intimate flying experience and helped to make the teenage fantasy of piloting your very own starship that much more real. However, it was still the raw speed and agility of the N2 that really got my juices flowing. I knew I should have been holding my cards a little closer to the vest with regards to Vol-Ox. After all, I know how to play the game better than most. But it's a little hard to be cool when sitting at the controls of a starship that could get me all the way back to Earth in only 61 days. A journey of 20,000 light years. And besides, how many people can say they own their own starship? And I mean a real beam-me-up Scotty type of starship. So cut me some slack. You'd feel the same if you were in my shoes.
This particular model is available for immediate delivery. Mon King, we have 4 in stock.
Volox said. And you'll take the Fusion in trade? I asked.
Of course, however, you should be aware the value has dropped considerably since the new XL model came out with the 75 mag generator and Zilliq converter.
I already knew that, but I didn't care. The trade-in would only knock a couple $100,000 off the total price of just over $5 million. I'd been saving up for the purchase for over 2 years, and now with Undersecretary of something or another Mark Wilson arriving tomorrow, the commission from his deal would put me over the top. I already had 4.9 in the bank. And if Wilson bought in the price range, as did most diplomats of his rank, then I'd have it. Still, that was a lot of money, and since all purchases of interstellar starships were cash only, I needed the commission and not the credit. I have to admit, the cash-only requirement was a bitch, even though it made sense. After all, someone with a ship like this could head off across the galaxy at a moment's notice, never to be seen again, if that was your intention. So it came down to cash or nothing. But this ride was sweet, so I wasn't going to let something as trivial as the cash-only requirement keep me from getting her. After all, I'm Jason King, president of Galactic Realty and Relocation Service, and a legend in the real estate industry on the planet Silox. I knew I'd make quick work of Mark Wilson and his family, helping to bring their dream of home ownership into reality, even if it was on an alien world thousands of light years from Earth. But it's just what I do, and I do it well. We were now beyond the boundary of the Silox star system, and I cranked the gravity generators up to full power, increasing the well intensity now that we were free of any conflicting gravity sources. The continuous series of microscopic black holes being created just ahead of the ship were now free to warp the fabric of space and place the tiny starship just inside the event horizon, at a point where the laws of nature no longer applied. The Keynesian gravity drive also had the added effect of drawing in space from the opposite side of the singularities, effectively compressing interstellar distances in our forward direction to only a fraction of their true length. It was really quite a remarkable device, and at such velocities we were soon halfway to the next star system, and without even coming close to redlining. I pushed the control stick over to the left and watched the stars sweep across my field of view, and then I whipped it back in the other direction. The inertia compensators adjusted with barely a blip, keeping all of us from being crushed against the bulkheads by the incredible G-forces of the turns. This was really something, to be out here among the brilliant stars and with an entire galaxy at my beck and call, even if this was just a test drive.
What's that?
Quint asked.
It looks like a star, with a tail.
I scanned the star field until I saw what he was talking about. He was right. The object was just off our starboard quarter. A bright star with a prominent curved tail jutting out from its fiery sphere.
I believe that is the Inset accretion disk.
Volox said.
It is one of a dozen or so in the region.
An accretion disk like you find with a black hole. And I mean a full-size black hole.
That is correct. As you know, these objects are carefully tracked and monitored since they are such dangerous obstacles to space travel. Inset, I believe, is the closest to the Silox system.
I felt Quint bump the back of the pilot's seat as he strained to get a better look at the object.
I saw one up close on the way here from Earth. The ship took a detour so we could see it. It was incredible. I mean, it's a black hole, eating a star. Now that's something you don't see every day.
I looked over at Volox. The long-eared alien appeared to be as excited as we were.
Then let us go take a look.
It was only a short 10-minute hop over to the accretion disk, and I had to back off on the throttle as we approached, otherwise we would have shot right past it. As it turned out, Quint wasn't exaggerating. The sight was awesome and looked like something you'd expect to see only in a CGI-intense sci-fi movie. Yet this was real, with the deadly spectacle now unfolding right before our eyes. The black hole was located about 1 million miles from a decaying white dwarf and was drawing in a wide swath of material from the star across the gap between the pair. The gas was thick, yellow, and white, and I could see it flow even from this distance. And as the roiling river of stellar ejecta approached the black hole, it formed into a tight spiral and turned a brilliant cobalt blue around the utterly black disk of the singularity's event horizon. Beyond that, there was nothing. It was an eerie sight, and no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't see anything in or crossing the dark void. It was literally a hole in space, and I was in awe that so much material, essentially an entire star, would eventually disappear into such a tiny point in space, never to be seen again. This was the true power of the universe on full display. The gravity drive of the Norine operated on the same principle, yet on a microscopic scale compared to this voracious star-eater. The three of us sat mesmerized for several minutes without speaking, entranced by the brilliant spectacle before us. The interior of the Norine was now bathed in the soft glow of starlight, and with occasional flashes of yellow and blue sparkles helping to enhance our near-hypnotic state. But then I shuddered, realizing that there were millions, if not billions, of these deadly objects occupying every region of space, including a supermassive one sitting at the very center of the galaxy. The incredible gravitational influence of this central behemoth was what caused the slow swirling motion of the Milky Way and everything that made up our conglomeration of space. Dust, stars, planets, even me was attracted to its inconceivably intense gravity well. And the monster was still growing, destined in some far distant future to consume the entire universe with one final, galactic-size belch. From Silox, the galactic core was only 8,000 light-years away. Just a skip in the park by galactic standards. I ruminated, thinking that once I got the Norine, I might even risk a trip out there one day, even though it wasn't recommended.
Mon King, pardon me, but we really should be heading back.
Vol Ox said, interrupting my reverie. Yeah, of course, I said. I cranked the stick over, and just before pressing the accelerator, a proximity alarm blared. Quint leaned over my shoulder and scanned the monitors as I desperately fumbled around the control panel trying to figure out how to turn off the screeching alarm. Are there pirates in the area? I asked Vol Ox.
There should not be. Not this close to Silox.
The alien then wrapped his short tail around his waist and inserted the end into his marsupial pouch before leaning forward at the comm station.
Approaching spaceships, please relay your intentions.
The response was immediate.
Unidentified craft, you have entered restricted space. You are ordered to cease well generation and prepare to be boarded.
But we are just an LPS, a licensed private starship on a test run. We were not aware we had entered restricted space.
If that is so, then transmit your C-14 license code immediately.
The three ships had bolted in from different directions, and I could tell from their energy signatures that their weapons were active. I should have been expecting this. After all, Silox was the capital of the Galactic Union, so it made sense that the area surrounding the planet and its star system would be full of military facilities, both known and unknown. Yet nowhere on the charts was this area marked restricted. The Norine 2 came equipped with a small flash cannon, for defense against rogue pirates or other hostile threats, but certainly not one powerful enough to go up against 3 military-grade warships. I wasn't comfortable with that, so I made a mental note that if I got the ship, I would beef up her weapons and defensive systems. After all, one can never have too much firepower.
Very well.
The voice suddenly boomed from the speakers again after Vol Ox had relayed his professional dealer code.
Reverse course and proceed out of the region at optimum speed.
Just then the data computer began to go spastic.
We are in the process of erasing all references and recordings of your incursion into restricted space. The rest of your data will not be harmed.
I looked over at Vol Ox and whispered, "They can do that." The alien shrugged. Quint tapped me on the shoulder.
Get us out of here, Jason. I don't think these guys are playing around.
Roger that, compadre. We're gone. 2 hours later, I set the Norine 2 down on the tarmac of the executive spaceport outside the Zanzibar enclave. As the hull creaked and cooled, I stood off at a safe distance admiring the sleek lines of the starship, including the bright gold and red stripes painted along the length of the fuselage. Quint was standing next to me, vicariously enjoying the moment as well. "Let's get back to the office," I said to him. "I have to get ready for the Wilson showing tomorrow. The sooner I close them, the sooner this baby will be mine."
Yeah, and when that happens, don't forget your friends.
"What friends?" I said with a smile. "I have no friends. Only victims." To my surprise, Quint didn't find my little joke very funny, as evidenced by the skewed smirk he sent my way.
Keep it up, smartass,
He said.
Someday you may need your friends. And I'm telling ya, payback can be a bitch.
This has been an excerpt from my book, Jason King and the Unity Stone Affair, the first book in the Agent to the Stars series by T.R. Harris. You can continue the adventure by checking out the novel and series on Amazon. The links below are in the description. More passages from within this book, and many others, are posted on this channel on a regular basis. Be sure to check back often to see all the new HFY Sci-fi adventures I'm premiering. Also, you can find all my 70+ novels on Amazon or by going to my website at bytrharris.com. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Your support is greatly appreciated. For almost 13 years, I have been writing HFY material, being one of the first authors to do so. My stories highlight humans as the supermen and women of the galaxy, the ones to be respected and feared. My goal was to prove that every person on Earth was a Superman or Superwoman simply because they're human. It should give all my readers a reason to stand up and pump their fists. After all, the saying goes, humanity. Fuck yeah. All story material on this channel is human-generated, except for the associated artwork and synthetic voices which were created through AI. Copyright by Tom Harris Creations, LLC.